What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another installment of Dinger Dudes. And we have an incredible episode. We're going to be talking about the All Star game and filling out our All Star ballots for this year. Now, we have the usual crew. We got Mr. Jackson Voles, and we have the beautiful twins and Andrew and Chase Jefferson. And we have a special guest today. We have UWG, University of West Georgia, first baseman, Mr. Carter Dierdorf. How you doing today?
Now Pittsburgh Panther.
Yeah,
Yeah,
former,
yeah, yeah.
former.
Well, like he'll always be a UWG first baseman in my
Yeah.
books.
Oh, 100%. I'm doing good. I'm super excited. I did some research. I've been slacking on my MLB watch because of the College World Series, but I
Yeah.
did research. I got some names picked out, and I'm excited to get going.
Yeah, it's gonna be an incredible episode. I mean, we got some guys that like we already talked about players that we believe are gonna have their first All-Star game this year. I mean, we're gonna go ahead and get into all these players, but before we get into that, Jackson, are we gonna go ahead and get in some hot takes real quick?
I want to get into the All Star ballot first,
Let's go ahead and get
if,
in the All-Star ballot first then.
just so we have enough time to do that. So let me pull it up right here. Let me go to share. There we go. Application window and share. So what you're looking at right here is the MLB All Star Ballot. The first phase ends June 26th, and then after that, you guys can vote for your starters. Now we're gonna start with the American League and first baseman. Now, Carter, I want you to choose who do you think the top first baseman is for the American League, as a first baseman yourself.
Yeah, I'm from Florida. I'm an avid Rays fan, and being able to have a guy at first base right now for my team, that's batting well is super exciting. So honestly, Jonathan Aranda is my go-to, especially because the All-Star is meant for like one player from each team has to go, and so I think the perfect pick. He's leading all first basemen or almost all first baseman in batting average, and he's hit swing very well for the Rays.
Man, I completely agree. I think the other guy that might give him some competition is, of course, Paul Goldschmidt from the Yankees, who's also having an incredible year. But I agree with you. I think he gets the nod for sure. I think especially where he's taken the Rays this year. This was a team that we didn't really know what to think of heading to the season, but they've been playing a lot better baseball than people give him credit for. And I think he's a big reason for that.
And I
Andrew,
got. I'm just gonna shout out the first baseman for the Royals, Vinny Pasquantino, I believe is how you say his last name. I don't want to butcher that name, but he's been one of the emerging first basemen in the American League this year. And you talked about your Rays guy, but I want to look at the Detroit Tigers because not only has that team really shaken
yeah.
up the American League, but Spencer Torkelson, who just so happens to be on my fantasy team, has really emerged this season. And of course, you got Vlad Guerrero Jr. from Toronto, who's having about an on par season right now. But if you were to ask me, I'm actually going to throw it over to Vinny from the Royals. I mean, I think, Jonathan Arena might make the most sense, but I've just been a big fan of Mr. Vinny over there. So that'd be my pick personally, but, give or take.
Steven?
Okay, no, there's no way. It's got to be Jonathan Aranda. I mean, a 319 average,
Yeah.
39 RBIs,
Yeah.
902 OPS. Jonathan Aranda's got to be the overall pick. But obviously, look, man, this is a beautiful thing because I got him on my fantasy roster. Paul Goldschmidt has been incredible this year.
He has.
He's sitting up there at 311, 7 home runs, 826 OPS. But, like you said, there is one representative from each team. Paul Goldschmidt's leading first baseman right now. But I believe we need to show a lot more love to Jonathan Aranda, and he should be the starter for the first baseman on the
I
American League
agree.
side.
I just wanted to see Vinny because it'd be his first All Star game, and I'm just a sucker for players making their All Star debut. But you're right, he does make the most sense by far.
I was gonna say Jonathan Aranda regardless. I mean, he's on my fantasy team, so I don't want to give a little bit too much bias. I have him and Josh Naylor who are doing fantastic for the first baseman side of my baseball team. But let's move on to the National League. Who is y'all's National League first baseman?
I'm
I
just gonna
think
go ahead and say this. Yeah,
say
sorry.
it.
Just
Say it,
because
Steven.
mine's
No,
gonna
go
be real
ahead.
quick.
Go
It's Freddie
ahead.
Freeman.
Yep.
It's Freddie Freeman. Come on,
Absolutely.
it's Freddie Freeman.
Absolutely.
He's unbelievable. 332. 950. It's Freddie Freeman, and And until somebody can take him over, Freddie Freeman will always be the starter for the National League.
And look, I'll give the nod. I'll give the honest nod to Pete Alonso. I love to make fun of Pete Alonso in the past. I always called him Mr. Home Run or Nothing because he'd have a high home run number but a bad batting average. This year, he has completely flipped the script, and he has become a lot more of a consistent hitter and not just a power bomb. So I will give my nod to Pete Alonso, but I mean, Freddie Freeman, like he's just still Mr. Reliable, even at this age, even after the injuries he's gone through. 332 average is just unreal, 958 OPS. So, though I do give my nod to Pete Alonso disgustingly, it'll always be Freddie.
And it's funny to me. Oh, sorry.
So who's voted Freddie Freeman so far?
Me.
Well, I was going to vote Freddie Freeman because, I mean, you look at Pete Alonso, and he does, first half of the season lead the majors in RBIs. And I want to shout out Spencer Strider for putting Harper on the IL. I don't condone it. I don't like players getting hurt. But if I had to pick anybody in the world, it would be Bryce Harper. But that puts Freddie Freeman right at the front runner for that NL first base position. So, yeah, Freddie Freeman easily.
Carter, if you were to choose between Freddie Freeman or Alonso this season.
Oh, Freeman for sure. If you look at, both their OPSs, Pete Alonso just only 0.002 points ahead. It shows that Freddie, he only has 9 home runs, whereas Alonso has 17, but it shows that he's hitting a lot of doubles. He's hitting a lot more extra base hits than Pete, whether that's not the long ball, but I think there should be a shout out though to Josh Naylor, batting having a great
for
season.
Sure.
So I just want to give him a little props before we moved on.
So our first baseman is set, Jonathan Aranda and Freddie Freeman. I want to stick with the National League side. Let's move over to second base, starting with Andrew.
Oh, you're going to start with me. Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously let's just
Come on,
start
man.
with the Braves All-Star or the Braves former All-Star second baseman Ozzie Albies. He's having a down season. And then you look at the same division, NL East, Jeff McNeil. He's had great numbers, but he's missed a lot of time due to injury, which is really unfortunate because I think Jeff McNeil probably would get that spot. And then, of course, Tommy Edman. He's won a Gold Glove. He was an NLCS MVP, and the love of the Dodgers fans everywhere would love to see him in there. But the numbers just don't really back it up. So I'm going to give my nod to Marte from the Diamondbacks because he has the best OPS on the ballot, and he's probably having the best season of his career, even though he spent some time on the IL. But I will have to say Marte.
Whoever wants to go next.
Look, Jackson, I know you really want us to say your Cardinal, Brendan Donovan.
Brendan Donovan is having a fantastic season.
I agree. Look, 313 batting average, I understand. But look, Ketel Marte still has just under a 300 batting average himself and a much better OPS than Donovan does. I think you have that considered as well. Ketel Marte scoring wise has been more efficient, and I'm not dissing Brendan Donovan at all, but I do think other than a batting average, which is not much higher than Ketel Marte has better everything else. So I think Marte does get the nod on the National League side.
And don't forget, he was third in the MVP voting last year for the National League.
Like I said, I was going to go ahead and bring up the fact, and you already kind of did, is the fact that Ketel Marte did spend a pretty good amount of time on the IL. I think it was almost what was it, a month, 2 weeks? It was a pretty lengthy stint on the IL. But like you said, with all that time spent on the injured list, he's still leads second baseman in the National League in home runs. Still has a 950 OPS. This just to me. I don't think it's close right now when it comes to second base. I mean, Tommy Edman is putting up a great, stat. And don't get me wrong, I want to shout out Brendan Donovan too, having a great season. But Ketel Marte gets the vote for me.
Carter.
Yeah, I was about to say it's pretty clear. Ketel Marte, what he's doing, what he's done, for a while now. This guy is almost the definition of consistent. He goes out there every year and puts up great numbers. So I think he definitely deserves this vote.
All right, we got Ketel Marte at the National League spot. The American League spot, this is one of the most weakest, spots, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's pretty rough. You don't really have any really good options here. I mean, you have Altuve, who's putting up a serviceable 274, but, who would you really go here? And I want to start with Carter.
Yeah, give it to Carter for the tough one.
I think Glaber is really won the spot, 276. one of the highest OPSs out of the American League second baseman. And, he's putting up on par with pretty much all the top power guys at second base. So I think he's really earned it. He's played a decent second base, and he's really swinging it well this year.
Steven?
You know what? Just to be different, because I mean, we're gonna sit here and kind of like highlight the guys, but I'm gonna go ahead and give my shout out to Willie Castro. Willie
Okay.
Castro's had like a really good season. Like he's had a 290 average. Like he's had an 848 OPS. I mean, like whether he's getting consistent play or not, I'm looking at those stats, and I think Willie Castro deserves some recognition to get the vote.
And Jackson and Carter, I think you're right. I think that the American League second baseman side is definitely up for grabs. So I think there definitely is a couple options here. But Steven, I agree with you. The Twins has been a really streaky team where they get hot and then cold. But when they're hot, Willie Castro is always a big part of that. And he's hitting very efficient this year, the 290 average. It's a couple home runs, which I mean, hasn't been a lot of home runs hit by second basemen in the American League, but an 848 OPS too. So, Steven, I agree with you.
Andrew?
Seems like we're all going to be different because the second baseman in the American League, it kind of sucks because no one's really like storming out the gates this season. Jose Altuve and Jazz Chisholm aren't really your regular second basemen anymore because Altuve has only played like 15 games at the second base position this year. But
Yeah.
I'm actually, funny enough, going to give the nod to Jose Altuve because even though he's not a primarily second baseman anymore, he's still a bold faced name, and he's a key player on a team that's currently first in their division right now. The Astros have been surging really hot this month. So I think because of the momentum and because of the lack of options, they are going to put Altuve there.
Now, I was actually going to side with Carter on this one. Gleyber Torres is a big, the numbers don't really stand out very much, but another guy in that infield who's, played infield spots for them this season, Javi Baez, has had a resurgence here since like 2018 with the Cubs, and Gleyber Torres is a big reason why the Detroit Tigers are at the position that they're in. So, my vote would have to be for Gleyber. I don't, you know what, I'm gonna give it to
Give it
I'm
to
gonna give
Glaber. Give it to
I'm gonna
Glaber. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
let's go with
Yeah,
Glaber
no
at the.
debate
I
here.
was gonna say give it to Andrew since he was the tie-breaking vote if he had to choose between.
Oh,
But
I'm okay with
all right,
Glaber towards it.
all
Yeah, I'm
right.
fine with it.
Sticking on the American League side, we're gonna go to third baseman, and we're gonna start with Chase Jefferson.
I already have my now. Look, I don't know. I don't want to say this too confidently because I think there is
I'm
a
saying this
bit of
confidently.
competition here. And when I'm looking at competition, I think you're looking mainly at Alex Bregman and Garcia for the Royals. But I'm going to give it to Alex Bregman, and he's just been the best. Or yeah, what am I talking about? The best player on the Red Sox this year. 299 average. Spent most of the season above that 300 mark. 11 home runs. Look at that OPS. 938. 938. I think to me it's either him or Garcia, but I think Bregman's kind of no question here.
What?
Nah, dude, it's Jose Ramirez,
It's
buddy.
Jose Ramirez.
It's Jose Ramirez. I mean,
Oh,
as
I didn't
much
even
as you
think about
want
Jose
Yeah.
to,
Ramirez. Oh,
like, don't get me
yeah.
wrong. I'll give them their credit, and I also want to go ahead and give the Royals third baseman too, Michael Garcia,
No,
some
I think
credit
you're
too.
right. I didn't even
Very,
consider
very good
Jose
player,
Ramirez.
but dude, Jose Ramirez is still the best. Like, I still think this year he's the best third baseman in the league.
No, you're right. You're right. I didn't even consider
He's
Jose Ramirez. You're right. You're
on both
absolutely
sides
right.
of
Yeah,
the
Chase,
ball,
you're
man.
so
Jose
wrong.
Ramirez has just,
I am.
been, a force with the Guardians, and he's still just like, just keeping up the numbers this year. I mean, Jose Ramirez is definitely getting the vote on the American
No,
League
I completely agree.
Cy
I was
vote.
definitely
Yeah.
wrong.
Now,
No, I think
Carter,
yeah, let's go to
or
Carter.
Andrew.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. Especially what he's done. He's been one of the most underrated players for a while now. And the fact that he keeps on putting up numbers like this, and they don't even have stolen bases on here, but I bet he has 15, 20 plus.
Mm.
Guy steals a lot of bases too. So
Let's
I
see.
think he's for sure the go-to.
No, I will say,
Andrew,
I think y'all are coming on a little too harsh on Chase. I don't think Bregman is as terrible as a pick as y'all make it seem because I
Yeah.
think
no,
it's
he's not a terrible pick.
I think it's a little unfortunate what happened to Bregman because
Yeah.
personally, if you look at what he did in the first month of the season, had it not been for his quad injury, I think Bregman probably would be the best third baseman in the American League right now. But Jose Ramirez, I mean, he has the opportunity to have 8 straight seasons where he was in the top 10 in the AL MVP voting because he's just having that kind of year. So I think due to consistency and due because he's just there's really just no wrong way you can go with Jose Ramirez. So I think, yeah, Ramirez as of right now is an obvious pick.
All right, now moving on to the National League side of the third base. I actually want to start off with this one. You
Okay.
know, Austin Riley's having a really solid season.
Now he is. Yeah,
He,
it
now
He's
didn't
been
he
up
start
and
is.
that
down.
way.
He can
He's been up and down.
he's off. I listen, coming from a Braves fan, I love
Yep.
Austin Riley.
But
It ain't happening, not this year. I mean,
No.
listen, man, the numbers are saying one thing, but watching him the entire season, man, he is just there have been times to where like the clutch factor is off for him this year. So that loses points for me.
And
So listen, man, I love Austin Riley, but he doesn't deserve an all-star
This
vote.
I
pick
would
is
his
clear.
I'm
This
going
pick is
Manny.
clear.
I'm going Manny Machado.
It's
Manny,
clear.
Manny Machado is having a phenomenal season, and he is the best third baseman in the National League this
Yep.
season. I mean, look at the
well,
876 OPS, 10
dude,
homers,
not only
and
that,
316 average.
Not only that, I was just gonna go back to Austin Riley real quick, dude. His chase rate on balls outside the strike zone is at a career high right now, and I think just among with all the other things you said, that yeah, you don't pull a third baseman who's swinging at sliders in the dirt in the All Star game. But you're right. No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay,
But
but real quick, if the average was better, because yes, he is a very high strikeout guy. I just want to give a really quick, shout out to Eugenio Suarez, who's having a very great year when it comes to power. 21 home runs. I believe he's leading third baseman in RBIs, unless Machado's got a mention on that. But
I
I
think
mean,
so.
Eugenio Suarez, like if his average is a little bit better, I feel like he should get a lot more recognition in the All Star voting.
Trust me, we know all too well about Suarez. But yeah, and I was just gonna say back to Machado. I want to give a shout out to Matt Chapman as well. I know he's also on the IL now, but Matt Chapman has really had a surprise turnaround this year. But yeah, Manny's batting at 325 right now, and he's got a really high OPS. And honestly, I think both of those are career best as to where it stands right now. So if he keeps it up, this could be a career season for Machado. So that's also going to be my pick.
Carter.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And baseball aside, stats aside, he's leading this Padres team on and off the field. Like he is their captain. He's the guy that they turn to when they need the big hit. And so, that alone, I think, should win him the spot.
And now moving on to the National League shortstops. There's two guys I have in mind. It's either going to be Ellie De La Cruz or it's going
Oh,
to be
really? Oh,
Lindor.
really, Jackson? You think Ellie De La Cruz is in conversation for National League All Star, eh?
Wow. Seems like
I, rem- I
somebody's turned the
remember.
No, there's
tables.
I
some there's
remember
some
you and
backup.
Mr. Gavin Ellis at the West Georgia baseball game giving me an earful about how overrated that man is. But now you think he's an All
He's a
Star, eh?
he is overrated. He's like not even top five shortstop in the entire league.
But he's an All Star. But he might get an All Star start, but he's not top five in the league. That's crazy. I
Yeah,
don't know.
and this is an
Ellie,
all-star. Like you're telling me he gets an all-star vote over Lindor, Mookie Betts,
Betts.
But he's
Trey
not top
Turner.
five. But he's not top five.
Yeah, they're not adding up, Jackson.
Does it add up to me? Does it add
That's a
up?
very interesting pick there, Mr. Bulls.
I
So
want to hear Carter. Let's hear Carter's take on this. What do you think about Ellie De La Cruz?
I think he's an electric player.
Mhm.
I think he's the dude that throws 100, hits balls 120. He's super exciting to watch, but when it comes to consistency and what I value in a player, he's not going to be the guy. He's going to strike out a crap ton. He's going to, throw some balls away, make some errors. He's going to make the great plays, but sometimes you'd rather just take the guy that's going to make the routines and not the phenomenal plays. So, when it comes to picking my player, I'm picking Francisco. I mean, and then kind of the same thing with Machado. He's the leader of this New York Mets team. He's been having a great season, and what he does, shouldn't go unnoticed.
Fair enough.
I can't hate the Lindor pick. I'm gonna go with Ellie just to make Jackson mad and to
That's
defend
fair.
the fact that I'm a
I'm
big
going
Ellie
Francisco
fan.
Lindor, but
Yeah, now look at Jackson wants to go Francisco.
I said it was between Ellie De La Cruz and Francisco
Look,
Lindor.
no, Carter's right though. Consistency does matter a lot, and I think Lindor is kind of riding that consistent train now because look, he finished second in the National League MVP voting last season, and all that we saw from last season is just carrying on into this season, and he really hasn't had a downslide yet this year. Like if you look at him on a week by week basis, the numbers are there. Like they're consistent each and every week, and I think with his numbers and backed up with those consistent stats, I think Lindor's the obvious pick here.
All right, now we're gonna move to the American League shortstop side, and I want to start off with Steven Lambert. Steven, this is really close for me. Who do you have at American League shortstop?
Well, look, man. Right now, very shockingly, Jacob Wilson is like very like on the top list when it comes to shortstop on the American League side. But you can't deny that the MV or the MVP candidate Bobby Witt Jr. is on that list as well. 279, 38. Like their numbers are almost identical. Just Jacob Wilson, the higher average and the OPS is higher as well. So I mean, you got to give the edge to Jacob Wilson on this side, and obviously that's going to be his first, All Star start as well. So that's incredible for him. Like I said, man, the Athletics had an awful team last year. And this year, they're just seeing some like players kind of getting that shine, and Jacob Wilson is definitely going to be a player that's going to be a force in this league for years to come.
Hey, I wonder who has Jacob Wilson on their fantasy team. Just throwing that
But
out
also,
there.
man,
But yeah,
but listen, and as far as somebody who dropped him, which is incredible, like Jeremy Pena started off really rough this year, but he's really picked it up. I mean, his stats have really kind of like outshining here. I mean, 325 average, 64 OPS. I don't know,
yeah.
man.
Look,
He should get some looks too.
Jackson,
agree.
I do want to say, Trevor Story, by the way, is having a lot better year than I thought. You definitely did not hit on your who let Jackson cook when you said Trevor Story was going to win the American League MVP. But I will say that 234 average has been a lot due to what he's been doing recently. That average has dropped a lot these last couple of weeks. It was a lot higher. But I just want to point that out that Trevor Story is not having as bad as year as I thought. But
Yeah.
you're hot taking
But
the cook. I just wanted to
but
point that out.
but Carter, who do you have at American League shortstop?
I think this goes back to my reasoning with, why the Rays should get the first base nod. It's like, who else in the Athletics is going to get a nod, other than Mason Miller? So I think he one earns that spot, and then two, they're going to give it to him because they need one of each team. So I think Jacob Wilson, breakout year, first year, doesn't strike out ever. There was like some stat where like he didn't get to a 3-ball count for like 100 something at bats.
Yeah.
So
That's wild.
what he does is, gets on base, gets hits, and it's a big value. And if he gets traded, he's going to make any team he goes to better.
Yeah, I love Jacob Wilson. He's having a fantastic season. I had him towards the end of the last season when I picked him up for his first ever game, and then he gets injured going to home plate out for the season. Unfortunately, I didn't draft him this year, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Blah blah blah. I don't know, but we're gonna move on to the American League side of
Come
the
on.
catcher.
Come on.
Dude, we had
Let's just
I
get
got
this
the
out the way.
t-shirt
We
on.
know who's getting the nod at the American
I
League.
got the t-shirt on, man. Give it
Yeah.
Big dumper
Come
from
on,
Florida
Big
State,
Thumper
baby.
gets
We're
that
giving
nod,
it.
man.
Yeah, I know exactly who we're giving it to. Logan O'Hoppe.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
Hey,
man.
look.
Listen,
That's
whatever.
crazy.
But there's just been, like I said, he's on pace to hit over 60 home runs this year, and he's already like I think he's about to break the record for most home runs, like in the first half by a catcher, or at least get to the close to the point of breaking that first half record. Cal Riley's been on a tear, man.
Dude,
Like as
just
somebody
This
who has him on his fantasy team, like Cal Riley, it just seems like every game he's doing something to contribute for the Mariners to get them a win. So Cal Riley he has to get the nod for
just
me.
let me lay
just
this number out here. He's
just
look, what
I was
Jackson?
gonna say if everybody agrees on Cal Rowley, just raise your hand.
Well, I was gonna say I'm just
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
throw these numbers out here, and it's gonna speak for itself. You could put Salvador Perez, Adley Rutschman, Kirk, and Himes home run totals combined this year, and Kyle Riley still has more total home runs than those four catchers combined. Absolutely, it's big
Good
dumper,
math,
and
Andrew. That's pretty good.
yeah, Florida State represent, baby. Let's go. I
Carter,
don't
do
know
you have an
why.
opposing opinion?
Uh, it's
Uh-oh.
hard to go against these offensive numbers, but for me, when it comes to catching, I'm a defensive guy. I want my catcher to receive.
Okay.
How do they handle the pitching staff? How is their blocking, their throwing out? And Kirk has a little bit of both. I know his receiving numbers are really high on stealing strikes, I believe. I could be wrong. But I know he receives really well, and he's been a part of that Blue Jays roster for a while, so he probably has really good feel with his pitchers. But you can't not give it to Cal Raleigh.
And Cal Rowley is our American League catcher. Now going over to the National League catcher, And I feel like, again, you have to have a guy from each team. And I'm really high on Hunter Goodman.
I
He's
am
the
too.
only
Wow, me
good
and you,
part.
same wavelength.
He is the
Same.
only good part about that Colorado Rockies team. I went and
Yep.
saw the Braves versus Rockies game this past
Hmm.
weekend, and Hunter Goodman was the only good part that I saw watching
No,
that
no, no,
entire
no,
game.
no. There's the well, oh gosh, what's his name? The one that hit
Ryan
two
Mc,
home runs off of us in the series.
Ryan McMahon.
Oh, McMahon,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean
McMahon,
that's
yeah.
that's your those are your two guys in that
Yeah,
lineup that are just going to kill you every single time.
I
Goodman's had a
mean,
great year, and like you said, we got to have a representative from each of each team, like whether they're a starter or not. But I mean, I think the start's probably going to go to Will Smith. If I'm being very
Yeah,
honest with you, Will
I
Smith's
agree.
had an incredible season. 317 average, not over 900 OPS. But I mean, just to show him some love, man, I got him. I just want to give my vote to Hunter Goodman.
And I want to shout out Carson Kelly and Jose Trevino as well, because especially in the NL Central, the NL Central is really loaded with catchers. And I think this is one of the best MLB seasons we've had in a while in terms of just collective catchers and their offensive numbers. They've really been on a surge this year, and I enjoy it. I hope it continues to trend this way because of all the young talent we have out there behind the plate. But yeah,
You
I
know,
think if we're talking about the numbers, Will Smith is the obvious pick. But yeah.
well, Trevino, if you want to compare him to Goodman, his offensive numbers are low, but Trevino does have a better average and OPS than Goodman. So I would argue to say Trevino's over Goodman, but I think if you're just going logistically overall, but that's the thing is someone's got to go to Colorado. So
yeah.
you almost have to feel like a hat. I mean, I guess McMahon could be in the argument, maybe,
If
but
anything, Hunter Goodman is a reserve.
reserve. You're absolutely right. But starting wise, I think you're right. I think it has to go to Will Smith.
So Carter, I guess you're the deciding factor. Half of us say Goodman, half of us say Smith. Who's your deciding factor? Hunter Goodman or Will Smith?
I think Will Smith has to get it. Feel like Goodman could be a reserve guy for sure, but he has been significantly better this year, and I know his defensive abilities behind the plate are phenomenal. So
Mhm. Ah, man, I really want Hunter Goodman. But Will Smith is having a fantastic season as well.
He is.
But we only have 10 minutes left in this meeting, so we're gonna get quickly onto the National League side. Now, Ronald Acuna Jr., ever since he returned, has
This
been
is interesting, man.
fantastic.
you
Is he
can't
gonna
give
be a
it to him. You
starter?
can't. I'm sorry, you cannot give it to him.
Oh.
Mm,
He has not played enough baseball.
listen,
That dude is a dang good baseball player, and
Mhm.
he could go on to win an MVP. I don't give a crap right now. We're basing off how were you playing from the beginning of the season to the
Yeah.
All-Star break, and you just can't give it to him. But I
So
was
who are
at the
your
well,
stadium
who
for
are
his
your
first
three?
home run back, and that was pretty sick.
It's
So
kind of
Carter,
well,
who
sad
are
yeah,
though,
your
yeah,
because
yeah,
three?
yeah.
Carter, I
Who?
think you're right, and it is sad because Acuna is on pace to have one of the most unbelievable MLB seasons ever. But I think you're right. It's just one of those unfortunate happenings where it's a little too late. Like what you're doing is awesome, but it would be unfair to other candidates if he were to take a spot for them, especially a starting spot. So you have to
Mhm.
consider that as well.
Well,
We're naming starters here.
Well, no, I mean Acuna's not getting the start. Unfortunately, it's just
Yeah.
because like that's just the cards that we've been dealt. If he starts this season, Ronald Acuna's getting a start in the outfield, no
Yep.
questions asked.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's just the fact that he's only been able to play for like I don't know, he's only been in the back
Like
for
25 games.
25 games
Yeah.
and unbelievable numbers. Like
Sure.
he's been the bright spot of this Braves team that's just had a very frustrating and awful season. But let's just go ahead and get the start. Like Pete Crow Armstrong,
Easy.
Oh,
obviously gets a
and I
start.
hate to say it as a Cardinals fan, PCA is fantastic.
Yeah,
And
he's gonna be an MVP in this
he's
league.
not just his offensive numbers. He is a guy I want to see in the home run derby this year. Because he can hit both sides, opposite field as well. He's one of the best opposite field home run hitters in the entire league. And his fielding numbers are fantastic as well. I believe he only has two drop balls this season so far. So I mean, I like PCA. PCA is one of my number one. Who are the other two
I
for
think
you?
Tatis has to be one too.
I
Tatis?
think. How about Corbin Carroll and give some love to James Wood? I think
I
there's a
was about to say
legitimate.
James Wood.
Mm,
I think there's a world out there where James Wood does get the start in the outfield this year.
That's not a
But
crazy world. I was gonna say Tatis and James Wood. Those were gonna be my next two.
you know what's funny though? I
But
was
Kyle
just
Tucker too. Kyle Tucker is a conversation piece too.
Yeah.
I was looking at the All Star ballot last year just to kind of help compare to this year. I completely forgot about it, but when you look at the NL outfield last year, it's like almost laughable because it was Jerson Profar, Christian Yelich, and Teoscar Hernandez. Those were the three stars in the outfield last year, and you compare that to what we're seeing this year. I mean, none of those names are even reaching the surface. Obviously, we know about Profar, but
I do want to give a shout out to. I'm not saying he's going to be an all-star, but Miami Marlins
Yeah.
outfielder Kyle Stowers is fantastic this season.
I agree.
So,
I
but
agree.
who's the number three guy? So we have James Wood, PCA, and
Corbin Carroll.
I mean, I was gonna say either yeah, Corbin Carroll too. I don't
Well,
know.
dude, let's not knock on Elliot Ramos too. Elliot
Yeah.
Ramos has had if for a Giants team that we thought wasn't going to be at the top of their division, and especially in a very tough division in the NL West, he's been kind of a guy in that offense. It's been a main piece for them in order to get them to this point.
My fancy team, man. It's my fancy outfield. Picked him up off of waivers, baby.
so if we're looking at it between Corbin Carroll, Tatis, Kyle Tucker, anybody?
I think we let our special guest make
Carter
the
decide?
pick
I
here.
like it. I
Yeah,
like it.
let him build the outfield here, and we'll
I
just go
like
with
it.
whatever he takes.
All right, so PCA, of course, he's on my MLB The Show team, so I'm gonna take him. That boy is
Fair
fire in
enough.
the outfield. I think I wrote down Kyle Tucker. I think he's been having a
I
great
like
year.
it. I like
He's
it.
been a consistent dude, especially for the Astros. He's been an underrated dude there. And then I think my last pick goes to the rookie James Wood.
Let's
I
do
like
it.
it.
Incredible.
I
Two
like it.
Cubs in the
Hit a
outfield.
That
home
works.
run about 5 feet over his head. That was pretty cool. So I think he's my for sure pick.
What you said you did? What happened?
They did some like MLB Network thing where they're showing him hitting a home run up and away, like 4 balls up and 2 balls away, like to the pole side.
Dude, for some reason, I heard you say I hit a home run over James Wood head, and I was like, dude, wait. Well, I was like, back up. You have to tell me the story. I was like, what are you talking about? Okay, I got you now.
Now we're
Hey,
on
maybe one
the
day. Maybe one day, Carter.
maybe one day
Hey,
we'll
who
see
knows?
Carter Dierdorf out on that field.
Absolutely.
Hey, we need to see it. But we're gonna go to the American League side of the outfield. We have 4 minutes left, and then we got to get into our DH.
Oh.
So American League. Judge has to
Aaron
be.
Judge.
Just
Perfect.
getting him. Yeah.
Just get it
It's
over
right.
with.
Judge is getting there. Who else is in that outfield for you guys?
Yeah, man.
I mean-
Riley Green's another one.
Yep.
Yeah.
What about honestly J-Rod? Julio Rodriguez, I don't think is a bad pick either. And honestly, you can make an argument for Mike Trout too.
Yeah, I
which
want
is-
Mike Trout. I want
Yeah.
Mike Trout to get a. I want Mike Trout to get a start, and maybe that's just like he's
The
actually had
average is too
a pretty
low, man.
solid season. But also just the fact for vibes, man. I love Mike Trout. I love the way he plays the
The
game.
average is too low, though. So
Average is way too low.
What about Byron Buxton?
I'd
from
love
the
to
Twins?
see it, but I think the average is way too low
It's
to put
not
him in
as
the All-Star
it's.
start.
I don't know, man. It's not as bad as as
Hey,
we've seen in like other ones. But
I
we're
mean-
forgetting about it. We'll forget about a guy who made a return. Like Javi Baez is back, y'all. I'm just saying.
Not an all-star yet, but yeah, he's having
I
a
mean,
resurgent
that's
year.
all-star numbers if you ask me. 280 average.
Maybe. Maybe.
Byron Buxton as well, doing fantastic this season for the
Yeah.
Minnesota Twins. So, who are the final two American League spots since we have about 3 minutes left?
I think Judge and Green are probably two obvious picks. The last one's kind of up for grabs, though.
Let's do
I think
Buxton.
Carter Dierdorf should pick the last one.
Okay, I like it.
All right, guys, scroll down for me a little bit. I think I saw a name that I wanted.
I think he's looking for Alex Verdugo.
That's great.
No.
ooh, I love him.
Yeah.
Tyler Soderstrom.
My heart wants Mike Trout. He was the GOAT growing up, but he doesn't deserve it, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
I think Byron Buxton, he's been kind of
Mhm.
cold,
I'll take it.
and
That would have been my next
that's-
pick.
him being cold, I don't think it's a reference to his playing ability. It's injuries.
True.
He's out for a lot, but when he's back, he is one of the best outfielders ever. And so I think with him being
Dang,
back
so-
healthy,
Dang, so we got to real quick pick the DH.
We got 2 minutes left. So
Okay, the
man.
NL is obvious though. Like, come on now.
yeah.
Yeah, Marcelo Ozuna.
that's wild. So we're going. Hey,
Come on,
hey,
torn hip.
shout
Still
out to
hitting
Josh
homers.
Schwarber.
Yeah, right?
But we got to give it to Shohei.
We got
Yeah,
Shohei's
yeah.
getting it.
Yep.
Yeah, I
And
threw
then
some
the
shade on
American
him
League,
on
they
accident.
still have, if I'm not wrong, they still had where Rafael Devers as well is somewhere on here.
Yeah, he's on there. I saw him.
He's on the National League side.
Yeah, he's on the National League
But
side now.
I completely forget he keeps getting traded to Giants. But American League, the final pick we have for the American League, I mean, we
Ryan
got
O'Hearn, come
Ryan
on, man.
O'Hearn.
Oh yeah,
Brent Rooker's having a fantastic season. Ryan
I agree.
O'Hearn.
But Ryan O'Hearn with that Orioles, I mean, the Orioles are starting to turn it around just a little bit. They've
They
won their
are.
I think they've
Hey,
swept 5 of their last like 6 series or something like that. It's been crazy. They've been on a
Uncle
hey,
tear.
Morton. Uncle
But
let's
Morton had
talk
a good
about
game.
let's talk
I
about
feel
Steven's
like
let's talk about Steven's AL MVP pick, Jordan Alvarez. Yeah, I'm sorry, Steven.
And what? And what?
right.
Bro,
But the
Jordan's like,
final
bro.
American League pick, who's it gonna go to? Ryan
Uh,
O'Hearn? Ryan O'Hearn.
Yeah.
Throw the
All
net
right,
on him.
well, so that is our roster, Stephen, if you want to wrap it up because we have less than a minute.
All right, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. We appreciate Carter for sticking around with us and being on this episode. We appreciate you being able to take the time out of your day and to join us for an incredible podcast. Tomorrow, me and Jackson, we're going to be at the. It's our birthdays, man. So we're going to be celebrating. We're going to the Braves game. We're
21st.
going to be vlogging some
And
content. So we're
Stephen's
going to be putting
20,
that out
30th,
soon.
something.
We appreciate everybody for supporting the channel, and if you could just subscribe if you're not. And just give it that like button. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in, and we will see you all next time.